Okay, here we are, guys. This is Chapter 8 and Lesson 2, Chapter 8, Lesson 2. Now we're now talking about the second sector, which is the non-profit. We just finished talking about government. Now we're going to talk about the non-profit sector, all of these sectors or components that make up the rec industry. We're breaking it down to see all the major hitters here and what we've got for non-profit. So let's start on slide 24. Okay, non-profit but fee charging. Okay, so what this is saying is that a non-profit business runs just like a for-profit business. There's no distinction, there's no difference with the minor factor of profit. And now many of you might think that there's a big difference between a non-profit and a for-profit corporation, because one corporation's making profit, which is money above and beyond all operating expenses, which includes salary. So profit is fun money. Of course, it's heavily taxed. So if you look at the non-profit doesn't get any of that fun money. But a non-profit is able to grow very large. For example, Goodwill Industries. All of your top players in that Goodwill non-profit, where you go and you give your old clothes and your old furniture and whatever, your CEO makes six figures. Okay, there's plenty of folks in that organization that are making hefty salaries by middle class standards. So don't let a non-profit fool you that everybody on that's on the team is making $20,000 a year. It's certainly not so. So the differences between big non-profits and corporations aren't that much different, because a non-profit must operate just like a business. They have marketing, they have to pay salaries, they have to charge entrance fees, they have to charge for their products, whatever it is. Okay. So it says there, fees intended to maintain financial stability without profit, and that's true. And financial stability for some nonprofits is six figures for salaries. There's nothing wrong with that. Just giving you a distinction between nonprofit and for-profit corporations, is that they're not as different as you may seem. And it says in the last bullet point there that nonprofit does not mean voluntary, is that people don't work there for free. And now they might. Because there's a lot of small nonprofits that maybe the director's only making $30,000 a year. Okay, so it's important to do your research and to see exactly who you're working with in the future, etc., etc. On slide 25 are some great examples of a recreation-based nonprofit. Some excellent examples: Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boys and Girls Club. Okay, Campfire Boys and Girls, Police Athletic Leagues. These nonprofits are just short of amazing. They are excellent, and they've been around for a long time, and they service the recreation industry very well. Now here are some categories on slide 26. There are many church and synagogue recreation programs that of course are nonprofit, and it says some of the things that they do there. There are some national youth organizations, YMCA, YWCA, okay, and you can see that there as well. Moving on is you've got special interest organizations. Okay, so this some nonprofits are very specific in what they do, and the people they reach, and the policies that they have. One would be the Sierra Club, very political, very specific. So make sure that you take a look at a club like that before you join and see exactly what they support and what they do. They have a long history, and their support for various things has changed over the years. Same thing with the Appalachian Mountain Club. Other outdoor recreation nonprofit is the National Outdoor Leadership School, also known as NOLS. Very interesting. Not super political, but more into training leaders. Okay. And so there's some organizations like Little League. Some of you may have played Little League growing up. Another nonprofit organization. Excellent. All of these organizations providing opportunities for children all the way through seniors to participate in recreation at all levels. it's not just the government's job to provide recreational opportunities. In fact, it's more the community and the residents of that community to get together to organize and to provide recreational opportunities for their community and the communities around them. And these are some really good examples of ways that nonprofits have found their niche place in the rec industry, utilize that, and gain membership and support and recognition, and provided great programs and services for the community as a whole. So that's slide 27. Looking at 28, there's other types of non-profit youth servicing agencies that are right there, as well as slide 28. I'm sorry, slide 29. And slide 29 is showing you here the significance. Broad goals extend beyond recreation. That's pretty obvious with especially a lot of the politically oriented nonprofit recreational-based organizations. Greater flexibility with development. Doesn't take as long in a nonprofit to get something approved and passed and implemented at the individual level than it does for the government. And most of the time they're quicker to respond to local needs, recreational based needs. Okay, so support your local nonprofit recreational club or group. Boys Girls Club, YMCA, these are great organizations. Boy Scouts, they need to be around, they need to continue to be around. Sierra Club, support them, keep them afloat, and make sure that you have an experience with them. It can only enrich your life. So we're looking at number 3, we're looking at slide 30, that's commercial recreation. And this is great because at some point in the history that we've talked about already of recreation, that some folks decided that, hey, we could provide some recreation and make some money at the same time. Nothing wrong with doing that. And so commercial recreation was born. And nowadays you have great examples of commercial recreation small business. And for example, in the 80s, the early 80s, when I was playing baseball growing up, there was one batting cage here in Phoenix, and it was outside, and you had to wear those greasy, nasty helmets that made you wear them, and you were outside in the summertime and in the late spring, and you were hitting baseballs, and it was hot and miserable. So granted, that business didn't go very far, and so what you have now is an amazing amount for the valley. We're up to 6 indoor batting cages in the valley, 6 indoor batting cages, air conditioned. How wonderful is that? As well as other baseball services, all indoors. Well, it would have been very nice to have had that growing up while playing ball. So that's a great example of a commercial recreation business. Providing a service, go in, hit some baseballs, pitch a little bit, do whatever else you can do in there, pay a fee, owners are happy, you're happy. Okay, it's a great team effort there. And so looking at the categories of service on slide 30, we give you an example. The administration to facilities we just talked about, organized instruction, membership in a community operated club, provision of hospitality or social contracts is what commercial recreation does. Looking at the services continued on slide 31, there's the categories of service: arranged tours and cruises, entertainment, special events, ecotourism, and the recreation experience. You're probably familiar with tours and cruises. The cruise ship that was a #1 vacation in 2000 was the cruise ship. Pretty interesting stuff. And if you're looking there, that entertainment and special events, I'm sure that many of you frequent concerts and things. That is commercial recreation. And you can also see that there's a provision. There's a variety of other types of events like water parks, theaters, casinos, and many other things that you can do where they will make a profit off of your money, but you also have a great time. There's a couple things I do want to mention here to you. Some categories of service under commercial recreation. It's on your slide, but first we have slide 32 would be outdoor recreation. In outdoor recreation, this is exciting. There's actually 35 million people who fish, and there's 14 million people who hunt. So you can imagine that there's some business there. So people that supply hunting and fishing needs, as well as outfitters. This is an outdoor recreation. Marinas and boating is the next one that says on there. I don't know. Do I have a number? Yes, I have 100 billion in equipment for marinas and boating. Ski centers and schools, and then lastly, which is really fun, is paintball. And I mention that just because I do paintball team building for corporations. So some pretty fun commercial recreation, outdoor recreation experiences that you can have. The second piece, so you'll need to note an example from each one of these. One from outdoor recreation, one from health, spas, fitness clubs, and that's on slide 33. It's health spas and fitness clubs, commercial recreation. And what are some things that are going on there? Most of you grew up knowing about some type of health club or spa. It's would be very out there that if you didn't know about something like that. Prior to the 50s and 60s, no one considered that lifting weights or running up in place on a machine would be as popular as it is now. Only the elite athletes ran in place on a machine and lifted weights 50 years ago. Nowadays, that is much different, and it's become a way of life, and so that it's very difficult to drive, at least around here in Phoenix, and not see as many Bally's or LA Fitnesses as you do Bashes or Safeways. So most of you have at some point belonged to a fitness club. You can imagine that's a profitable entity if everything is done correctly, of course. There's no business that just makes it without hard work. On slide 34, you have the learning studio approach, which is important. This is tutoring. This is classes, short-term learning experiences. There's like Kaplan, and there's a variety of other short-term learning experiences that students participate in. And this is a strong sector in the commercial recreation business, for-profit recreation business. I've already mentioned this, but you've got family fun centers, which is another strong form of commercial recreation business. Video game parlors, water parks, various other for-profit ventures. Looking on slide 35, slide 35 has other for-profit ventures: private golf, tennis, boating, nightclubs, dating services, dancing halls. Okay, it's all there. Alright, that concludes commercial recreation. We'll be back to talk about the next one.